megavoxels. Megavoxels are a term that was also invented by landmark players to describe a voxel that is larger than the default size. These are typically created using microvoxels placed at the corners of a central voxel to intentionally deform it so it becomes larger. Let's take as an example this cube I've got set up here. Right now, everything in this cube is the default size of a voxel, but what would happen if we took a small voxel, say that size, and we paste it in each corner? Well, it would stretch all of its neighboring voxels outwards. And if I put that in every one of the 8 corners of this cube, you can see, I hope, what is slowly happening to the voxels around it. Because the most recently placed voxel maintains its shape, all of its neighbors get stretched so that that can happen, because all of its neighbors are always attached to any voxel. So what happened when I placed the small ones in each of the 8 corners is that the central one, since it's attached at each of its 8 corners to these small ones, had to stretch out and become larger than it originally started. And in addition, the ones on top have become sort of flat and thin, and the ones in between are almost like little bars. If I use my select tool here and select that voxel in the middle and paste it out where we can see it, paste it beside this one, which is a normal size voxel, you can see how much bigger it is. Now, if I had used a medium-sized voxel instead of the tiny one that I did, the voxel in the center would not be so large. And in fact, I don't even have to use it symmetrically. I could use the small ones at the bottom and the medium ones at the top, and then I'm going to get something a little lopsided shaped, like that, if I wanted that. By symmetrically placing all 8 the same size, I can make a series of megavoxels that is almost a mirror of the microvoxels used to create them. And in fact, over on this side, oops, I have done that in this row. So let me paste this back over here. These, oops, I didn't align that right. There we go. These megavoxels in the lower row were made using the microvoxel directly above. And you can easily, using the technique I just showed you, create your own set of these for future use and stick them on a wall like this. And by the way, these are not stuck directly on the wall, because that would deform the wall and make them hard to copy out. I actually tend to float them. You can see here. I tend to float them with one voxel of air in between. This shape, by the way, is often called a voxel reactor by players. You don't necessarily need the whole thing to be solid voxels, although all 26 voxels, or 28 voxels? 26 voxels are affected. But you actually, as we saw from this example, you're only pasting in the corner voxels, so you only really need to visualize those. So that alone would be enough. And then if we place the central one here, oops. So that's an easy way to visualize what I'm doing here. As I replace the red cubes with my other shapes, my microvoxels, you can see the exact same thing happened as when I did it in the ice and glass block. This one just allows you to visualize exactly what's happening to all of the voxels, not just the one in the middle. But if the middle is the only one you care about, this works fine. And you can use the putty technique that we talked about before. If you make one of these and then decide that you wanted to use maybe that air voxel in the middle, the putty technique from the previous tutorial, just copy a little grid, copy, paste. And you can see it's painted those at the top, which I can now copy, paste, and use separately if I want them to run. And that's Megavoxels.